morning, everybody, and welcome to the racing show, the special Melbourne Cup racing show, Australia's greatest race, one of the world's greatest race. And as usual, we've got our star-studded panel here with me, Darren, the two Simons, and Shane. But there's a cloud descended over the Melbourne Cup this morning, and it was a cloud caused by the VRC committee. Now, the VRC committee have the power, have the discretion to name the final Melbourne Cup field and to put horses in and out as they wish. But it's an abuse of that power when they make a field up like they have in 1998. Not only have we got rid of a couple of fully qualified locals like Bulter and Bridleman to bring in a second-rate European stayer like Yorkshire, to let a couple of Singapore horses into the race, but then the committee have let themselves be outsmarted, outplayed in a game of poker by Bart Cummings to let Perpetual Check not only leapfrog these horses, but to leapfrog Praise Indeed. Now, in the last 6 months, Praise Indeed has won a 3,200 metre Group 1 race in Australia, the Brisbane Cup. He's run third behind Tie the Knot and Doremus in a 3,200 metre Group 1 race, the Sydney Cup. Now, if you haven't got Group 1 form as your guide, what have you as a guide? And yet Perpetual Check, a horse who's never been placed in a group race, has won a weak City Tats Cup, has leapfrogged him. I just think that the committee, the VRC committee, have got a lot to answer for.
I think they have too, Ken. I agree with what you're saying. International horses are going to be here forevermore. They're starting to like this race. The rules have to be set in concrete that this never, ever happens again.
I disagree. I think they did the right thing. I think they should be allowed to select the field. And I think the STC should do it more often with the Golden Slipper.
Well, Shane, why have conditions?
I see two-year-olds left out of that Golden Slipper every year, which should be in there. And I think you need the best horses running in each race, in these big races, like they do at Moonee Valley, the Cox Plate. And I've got no doubt that the VRC has done the right thing. But what they should do, since they've done it this year, is do it from now on. Every year, select the field.
There shouldn't be that conjecture. It can never happen again. They've got to, whether it's Ken's opinion, your opinion, or all the others that are going on, there has to be rules now set down.
But you want the best horses.
Shane, they haven't got the best horses.
You can't tell me
Praise
Yorkshire's
Indeed.
a good horse.
Exactly.
Well, it's not.
Huh?
Yes.
We know it's
Interval.
not.
You know, one on a heavy track, the Singapore Cup, like, you know, they're not, you know, you can't bite the hand that feeds you.
Darren, you've shot Shane's argument down in flames.
I reckon you hit a six straight off the bat.
I agree with Yorkshire. Yorkshire's got no hope on what people say from England and whatever. We know that. But they should be allowed to select the field.
But we've got 24 horses. It's still going to be Australia's greatest race. We had the barrier draw last night. Shane, I'll let you keep talking. Tell us what you think of the barrier draw.
Well, Doremus drew 24, but it won't matter because he's going to be running there last. What he needs is rain. There's no doubt that a lot of good chances drew wide, and the likes of Gold Guru drew wide. My horse, Tie the Knot, drew 22, which won't help. Aerosmith, probably a horse who really needed a barrier, drew 23. I think they are the main ones. And Champagne, who needed a barrier, drew 18, and it's not going to help any of those horses. But Doremus, it will not matter.
If you're going to get a buck out of the Melbourne Cup, you're going to get it by backing the winner. What price is it going to be? Here's Michael Iskander, the leading rails bookmaker.
From the top, Doremus at 12 to 1. Faithful Son, a lot of support for it. Good barrier draw at 9 to 2. Paisian Punch at 10 to 1. Torfin's Melody at 12s. Can Schiffers at 100 to 1. Gold Guru, not such a good barrier at 33s. Tied or Not, wasn't such a good run here today at 10 to 1. Yippee at 16s. Markham at 33s. Darazari at 10 to 1. Sheer Danzig at 16s. Aerosmith 14 to 1. What a good run here today. 20 to 1, 3 Crowns. And we've got 80 to 1 Joss Sticks. Peak of Perfection at 33s. The Hind at 16s. Skybow at 25 to 1. And then Yorkshire at 20 to 1. Second Coming 80 to 1. Ancient City at 40s. Champagne, what a great run here today, 16s. But a drawn a barrier draw would have been a lot shorter than that. Jezebel at 14s. Perpetual Check at 14s. Arena, the best local hope at 10 to 1.
Rightio, well now we're going to work our way through the field and we're going to start with the favourite Faithful Son. But before we do, we're going to introduce a special guest, a man who started off as a 16-year-old with Max Lees at Newcastle. He's been to Ireland, he's been to the UK, and he's the assistant trainer in charge of bringing Faithful Son to Australia on a 40-hour flight from England, and that's Brad Mazzato. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, how are you?
Well, you must be a very proud boy.
Yeah, I'm quite proud, but obviously we're here for a job and we've been quite focused on the races that we've been involved in so far, so we've just got to look ahead and kick on and for Tuesday and hope everything goes for the best.
Well, there's all the information about Faithful Son. It's been well documented that he's a Group 1 performer in England. His run in the Caulfield Cup at his first try at 2400 was sensational. Has he improved since then, Brad, and can he run the distance?
He's definitely improved, I'd say, a length or two on his Caulfield Cup run. We had a disaster preparation going into the Caulfield Cup, and obviously he gave every indication in the Caulfield Cup he'd run out the 2 miles. So
Here he is this morning. You're quite happy with the way he went this morning?
Yeah, we just gave him a bit of a pipe opener. He worked 6 furlongs. He ran his last 5 furlongs in 1:01.5. His last half mile in 46.5. And his last 2 in 24.5.
Brad, horses in Europe race so differently to what we have here. There's a lot more pressure on here. I think I'd be right in saying field's a lot tighter and at times bigger. Do you take that into account, bringing a horse over here, his mentality, that he's got to be right to be able to cope with that pressure?
Obviously, you need a horse that can hold a position without you having to niggle at him.
Why don't we have a look at his run in the Caulfield Cup too while you're speaking, Brad, and we'll highlight the horse, and you can then, everyone can see what a great run, and particularly what's the last 200 metres.
He's back in the blue. Yeah. There's no doubt he should have won this.
Brad, what did you think of this run from here home?
It was good. As they straightened up, the horse in the cerise colours came out and just bumped him, knocked him off stride. The first furlong in the straight, he did grind away, and then it wasn't until the last 3/4 of the last furlong that he really jumped out of the ground and found the line.
Brad, would I be right in saying that Caulfield, a very tight turning track, only a short straight, Flemington's going to suit him with a big long straight, very similar to English style of racing, and he's really going to be, it's going to come into his game plan, do you think?
Yeah, well, after watching the race there, you'd have to agree that if it was Flemington, he wins. With the trouble he got into, if it was Flemington, he wins. Obviously, if he has a trouble-free run in the Melbourne Cup and he stays, I'm very confident he'll be very hard to beat. I'd say he'd have to win.
Brad, Frankie Dettori takes the ride. I can see, just by watching the Caulfield Cup, that the horse is going to enjoy a bit of room. Now, we've got 1,000 metres to the first bend from the Melbourne Cup start. He's going to have plenty of time to find himself a comfortable position. Ideally, would you like him in the first half a dozen, because there's not much speed in the race this year, and would you like him sitting outside off the fence with a little bit of room and not a horse outside him like he did in the Caulfield Cup?
Well, you can say everything what you'd like to happen on the day, but it never really goes to plan. But ideally, I'd want him 1 off the fence, probably 4 lengths off the lead, just to keep in touch with the pace. And obviously, when you're there, as you straighten up, you should get a lovely cart into the straight, and you should have every hope.
Let's see what Frankie Dettori's got to say. Darren Beedman spoke with him yesterday.
What did you think of his last run? I think it was a very encouraging run. He's stayed on really well. It looked like that he will get the extra distance, but his pedigree suggests that would not race that far. But you know, you got to look at the bright side of it. The horse is travelled well. We prepared him for the race, and we just got to keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope he can get to the end.
There's about 4 or 5, probably half a dozen overseas runners. How can you put a line through these? And what horses do you think would probably be the better of the numbers?
Well, Persian Punch is the big stare. He'll kick a long way out, and he'll gallop right till the end. Some of the others, they've got good weight, and you know, what makes the Melbourne Cup special is an handicap. We all got a chance.
Persian Punch goes on for Walter Swinburne for the first time over Palio Sky. Cave Tara down the far side with Samron, then staying on in 5th is Satcho. Double Trigger is beaten, 3 Cheers is staying on. Hard work now for Persian Punch. He's having to dig deep as they hit the furlong pole. Samron is putting in a power pack finish, and so too is Cave Tara the far side. 3 Cheers is back in 4th and held inside the final 16th. Persian Punch is all out. Samron is trying hard. It's a bobbing finish up towards the line. Persian Punch to Samron, Cave Tar and 3 Cheers.
Right, well, we look into Persian Punch, and without trying to be too biased, Brad, will your horse beat the other overseas horses?
Well, our horse is completely different to a horse like Persian Punch. Persian Punch is a dow stayer. He wants the speed on, he wants to be handy, whereas our horse he's been racing consistently over 2,000 metres, which means he's got a turn of foot. To race in Group 1 level in Europe over 2,000 metres, you must have a turn of foot. He showed he can stay. Like I said, every indication he'll run the 2 miles in the Caulfield Cup, and if he does, I think he'll win.
Well, Simon O'Donnell caught up with David Ellsworth, the trainer of Persian Punch, and also Robert Armstrong, the trainer of Sheer Danzig, at track work during the week.
David, Persian Punch, Melbourne Cup, 2 miles, new country. How do you see it?
Well, one tries to put all those facts you just mentioned out in my mind and just say it's a two-mile race, horse race rather, and trying to look objectively at it, whilst it's a long way from home, it is a 2-mile handicap. The sort of race that if it were a run at home, he'd equip himself well, and we'd be you know, cautiously optimistic. So we've got to treat it with the same attitude, and I suppose he has a sporting chance.
First of all, I'd like to say how happy I am to be here, and secondly, I'm lucky to have a great horse like Sheer Danzig from the point of view of travelling and putting up with different circumstances and places and everything. He's a real old friend and a very sensible horse. He's nicknamed Big Bear and sort of one of the family. So I couldn't have found a better horse to bring down here, but it's ever since I attended my first Melbourne Cup, I always wanted to have a horse here, and I've got one, so I'm a very happy man.
The race itself, you couldn't be happy with your horse?
I couldn't be happy with my horse. The only thing I wouldn't want to happen would there to be a cloudburst on the day of the race, because we want a fast track, not a soft track.
All the very best.
Many thanks.
Well, that wasn't quite a track work, but Persian Punch is obviously a very good stayer. Shane, Damien Oliver's riding Sheer Danzig. What do you know about him?
Well, he's by no means the best. He's not in the same class as Faithful Son, there's no doubt about that. He's very badly weighted compared to Faithful Son. Faithful Son gives him 4 kilos, and if it was in Europe, it would be about 10 kilos. There's no doubt he's just a dead set stayer. You see him here.
He's on the rails in a nose rail. Yep. There he is.
There he is, 3 deep coming at them.
Between horses.
His form's inconsistent. Damien's on him, which is a plus. There's no doubt about that. He's one of our best riders. And I suppose I prefer Faithful Son, put it that way.
OK, well, Damien Oliver is the man. He's got the ride on Sheer Danzig, and I caught up with Damien yesterday at Flemington. Damien Oliver, no one should know more about the Melbourne Cup than you. You rode Faithful Son, you nearly rode Torfin's Melody, and now you're on Sheer Danzig.
Yeah, it's a bit of a merry-go-round, isn't it? Yeah, I'm happy to be riding Sheer Danzig. You know, I've rode him a couple of times now, and he looks like a real genuine stayer. You know, I don't think he'll have any trouble with the 2 miles, and he ran second, I think, in the Toad Ebor handicap over there in England last start, and I saw the tape of the run, and he's a real dour sort of horse.
You sorry to lose the ride on Faithful Son?
Well, it was never my ride, Ken. Frankie was always going to ride it in the Melbourne Cup. I was only booked for the Caulfield Cup. I think he's got a terrific chance in the Melbourne Cup, and, you know, he's only got to get the 2 miles to probably win it.
OK, well, the next horse along, of course, is Yorkshire, and, well, I don't think he's going to worry you, Brad. He's saying nothing. Right, now, we'll dismiss him. Torfin's Melody won the Caulfield Cup. Looks a pretty good stayer, Simon.
Yeah, it does look a pretty good stayer. You can never take the Caulfield Cup, obviously, away from Torfin's Melody. It won it fair and square. It outstayed the others. I think, probably the horse is trained on or looks just as well as Caulfield Cup time. I was out at Sandown this morning, and here he is having a bit of a workout. Had a long walk before he went and had his gallop, and look, the horse looks fantastic in himself. He's very settled. You'd be surprised if he didn't come out and run a pretty strong 2 miles.
OK, well, that just about covers the imported horses. Brad, thank you very much for coming in. We've appreciated your expert knowledge.
Thank you.
And the imported horses, I wish you well tomorrow, on Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you.
OK, and as we go to a break, Simon O'Donnell gets all the good jobs. At track work, he also caught up with the trainer of Torfin's Melody, Lady Herries.
Our Caulfield Cup winner, Torfin's Melody, the Melbourne Cup, different kettle of fish. How do you see it?
I said before the Caulfield Cup he would run really well. I don't think anybody believed me, and I'll say the same thing again. He'll run really well.
I think this time we might take your word for it.
They take a seat.
Might and Power is the leader in the Melbourne Cup. He's a length to Linesman, and Doremus finishing strongly, followed by Ebony Grove along the inside. Then Markham. Might and Power is the leader. Doremus trying to peg him back, and then came Linesman, followed by Markham. Might and Power in front, close to home. Doremus coming at him on the outside. They go for the line. Oh, Doremus and Might and Power in a tight photo. Doremus, Might and Power, brutal in it.
What a thriller 12 months ago, and that was 10 seconds of elation for Greg Hall and for Lee Friedman before Might and Power's number went in the frame. And I think Lee was more excited in that 10 seconds than he is with the balloting debacle that's gone on for the Melbourne Cup. Lee, did Shane's arguments impress you?
No, not at all. And I mean, we haven't got the time to discuss that here at this juncture, but basically the balloting conditions are there for the Melbourne Cup. These sort of powers have never been invoked before. Horses have been put out that were qualified for the race. My heart bleeds, not only for those people that have paid up for those horses all year, but I think the industry's got to have a long, hard look at itself. I think really and truly, where are we heading? I mean, what are we trying to achieve here?
Well, I think overseas horses are okay, but we've got to put a limit on them, haven't we?
Oh, look, there's two separate arguments, Ken. You know that. That argument may take place down the track. The argument today is whether what happened last night should happen. And I'll tell you what, the mood's very ugly in the industry, very ugly.
I agree with you entirely, Lee, but we'll get on to DeRemus now, and he's not ugly, not if you own him, because he's won so much prize money. I think he's actually won over $1 million since he last won a race. And $3.5 million winner. He can stay the 2 miles. What do you think of him, Simon Marshall?
I think, well, you can't disregard his 2 mile form. I mean, we look at his Cox Plate run coming up here. Lee, what worries me about, he finished off his Cox Plate run this day very well. That's DeRemus second last in the picture in the blue sleeves, the pink and blue cap, the pink blinkers and the chestnut there with the white baldy face. Lee, he finished off the race pretty well, don't you think?
Yeah, look, I was very happy with his effort, so was Greg.
They did break the record for 2 seconds in the Cox Plate this day, Might and Power.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought DeRemus would go around the Cox Plate and break the old record and finish 6th, but he did. Look, he's going great. I think the key thing about DeRemus is he is 8-year-old. I'm his biggest fan, but he is a great 2 miler. And I mean, you look at his form at 2,400 metres and beyond, it's impeccable. So he's always got to be a chance.
Lee, I just want to get to the fact, drawn 24, there's not really much speed in the race. A bit of a worry for Group 1 Greggy to get him across. Will he have to, you know...
Well, I don't know. He rang me this morning. He said he's going to have a bit of a think about it today and see what he's going to do. I'll make an interesting point, though. This is his 4th time in a Melbourne Cup. He's never drawn inside 18.
You say there's no speed. I think they'll go along very quickly. Now, Persian Punch has to get going early out of the gates, and there's going to be a ton of pace.
Interval, second coming.
There's a lot of pace in this race.
3 crowns, second coming. OK, let's look at the next horse, or we'll be here all morning, and that's Count Chivas. Now, I think we're going to move quickly because Count Chivas, a lot of other days, lads?
I think so, yeah. His form was better 2 years ago, and he's just make up the numbers, I think.
Now, Gold Guru was trained by Leon McDonald, of course, at Wait for Age. He beat Might and Power in the autumn, and yesterday at Flemington, Darren Beedman spoke with his trainer, Leon McDonald.
He looked to me like he was probably looking for distance.
Well, Darren, he appears like he is. I mean, we set him for the Cox Plate and he hasn't had the turn of foot of those horses, and maybe in hindsight he should have run in a Caulfield Cup and then gone to the Melbourne Cup, but that was the decision made, and he just seems to be plugging away at the moment.
Yeah. He's the 2 mile. Do you think he will get the distance?
Look, it's pretty hard to say, but if you look at the AJC Derby, I thought he went to the line probably better than Tie the Knot. Now, he might be going a bit better now, who knows, but he outplugged Tie the Knot in the AJC Derby, sorry. And I think that with the way he relaxes, he might run the 2 mile.
Simon O'Donnell, Gold Guru, you can have the last word before we move to...
I think Leon summed it up pretty well. I believe the whole campaign he's been looking for a trip. Whether he stays the 2 mile is the big question, mate.
Right, we're on Tie the Knot now, and Tie the Knot is trained by Guy Walter, and Guy joins us this morning from Ballarat. Good morning, Guy.
Good morning, Ken.
Well, obviously we want to know how the horse pulled up after the McKinnon.
Pulled up very well, as he generally does, Ken. He's bright and he's eaten up, and I'm very happy with him.
Were you disappointed with the run yesterday?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I think he's been trained for the 3,200 metres. He was coming back from the 1.5 miles of the Caulfield Cup, and I thought he found the line quite well.
OK, here's the horse viewers in the red with the white cap, running in about 5th position now, and the man on his back, Shane Dye. Shane, were you disappointed?
I was a little bit, but when you have a look at the sectionals in this race, they were incredible. So it was impossible for him to win this race. He had to break like 33 seconds for the last 600. He hung a bit and he pulled a bit, but the edge is off him now. He's been trained, as Guy said, for the Melbourne Cup. He's won a Sydney Cup, Ken. He's still got a great chance. I've got no doubt about that. He's probably the best 4-year-old in the country. OK, well, before that race, of course, he ran in the Caulfield Cup, in which he was favourite. And as we roll vision for the Caulfield Cup, Guy Walter, you expected him to win this day. Were you disappointed that day?
Well, naturally, I was disappointed he didn't win, Ken, but I felt that he didn't have a lot of luck that day. It was a slowly run race, and he got a long way back. And he had to run a very quick last 1,000, and he's only been beaten 3/4 of a length, so I was happy enough.
Darren Beedman, you used to ride the horse before Shane. What do you think of him?
I thought yesterday he just looked a fraction soft in the enclosure going into this race. I think, you know, with what Shane said, I thought his sectionals were okay the last furlong. I've still got him as one of my top selections.
Well, that's very relevant because when he backed up from the AJC Derby to the Sydney Cup, he seemed to just fade a touch in the AJC Derby. Here he is, Gold Guru's gone to the front. That's Tie the Knot again, of course, in the red with the white cap, just going past Northern Drake. Now, I thought he was going to beat Gold Guru, but Gold Guru just outstayed him. Now, a week later, a week after getting outstayed in the AJC Derby, Guy backed him up in the Sydney Cup. And this day, when Doremus looked home in the Sydney Cup in the pink and blue colours, Tie the Knot runs him down. Shane, the quick backup.
Okay, I think he's a great horse, this horse backing up, and I've always said this to Guy. In the Derby, he was not seasoned enough to run on a real bog track. If it had been a good track, he would have won the Derby that day. That hard 2,400 metre race of the Derby, back up 7 days later, Sydney Cup. You saw what he did. And the format of that Sydney Cup that year, or this year, has been very strong. He's got a great chance, Ken, tomorrow.
Shane, I just want to ask you one question. You've drawn barrier 22, an awkward gate on this type of horse.
Yep.
Are you going to ride him back or put him into the race?
He'll be back. I won't hesitate. He'll be right back out.
I don't think he can win ridden back.
Oh, okay. Do you want to ride him?
Well, Guy Walder, we wish you luck on Tuesday.
How does Guy want him ridden?
Beg your pardon?
How does Guy want him ridden?
Well, we'll ask Guy what he thinks. But, Guy, are you...
Won't matter, you'll do your own thing.
Are you happy with the horse at this point in time?
Yes, I'm very happy with him, Ken. I think he's a horse, as Shane has just said, he benefits greatly from backing up. I think he'll derive a lot of benefit from yesterday's run. He's a horse it's always a battle to keep the condition off him. And I think he'll strip a very fit horse there on Tuesday, and he'll be hard to beat. OK, well, all the best of luck on Tuesday, and thanks for going to the trouble of joining us this morning. Thank you very much, Ken. Rightio, well, the next horse up, of course, is Yippee-I-O. We all thought he was going... At one stage, he was the favourite, but now he's just dropped right out of favour. I don't think any of the boys on the panel think he can win the Cup. And as we go for a break, let's see what his jockey, Jim Cassidy, and his trainer, Alan Denham, think.
Well, he had that travel sickness last year. I do believe it has knocked him round a lot. Jack's been able to get him back and win a race in Sydney with him. But I just think he's got to improve a little bit more to be probably one to beat in the Melbourne Cup.
Alan Denham, Yippee-I-O, is he as good as last year?
Being realistic, I don't think so, Ken.
What about his track work?
He's been pulling very hard in his track work, just doing things which we wish he hadn't been. Like I said, this time last year, I didn't think we'd be taking him home, so look, we're still in there. We haven't given up hope, but we haven't got the same boom of confidence that we had before we come here last year.
A good ride, Markham. You rode him today in the McKinnon Stakes. What sort of feel did he give you today?
Yeah, he gave me a great feel today. We were guessing a bit going into the race whether he was right on song or not coming into it, but it was a lot better run than he put in last year in the McKinnon. He ran last in it last year. Today we're out there to see how he was coming along, and after the Caulfield Cup, and we set him a bit of a task. We sat him out 3 deep. We moved him into the race, moved in good. The type of horse is a dyed-in-the-wool stayer, needs pace on. These races aren't suiting him, and I think Cliffy's got him pretty well right now.
OK, Markham finished third in last year's Cup. Lee Freedman, is he going good enough in 1998?
Well, I suppose you've got to respect the fact that he did run third last year, but his form's been woeful leading up to the race, and I know he's not a weight for age horse, but geez, he's finished a long way from the winner yesterday.
He's had 3 cracks at it now too, Lee.
His run yesterday was good.
I don't think he's good enough myself.
I spoke to Cliffy before the Caulfield Cup, and even before the Caulfield Cup, he didn't give him a hope in that. He said the Melbourne Cup's his race.
He's a 2-miler.
Darren has the last word. We move to Darazari, an imported horse who's done a bit of racing out here, and he's trained by Bruce Wallace. And Darazari got pretty good form in Europe. There's mixed opinions on his form. He's a 10-to-1 chance in the Cup, and we're at track work on Thursday when Darazari worked. Simon Marshall was the man there.
Yes, look, Kenny, this horse has settled right in. He's absolutely done a treat in the stable. Bruce Wallace, I spoke to him this morning, actually, he couldn't be happier with him. He was giving him a pick without a raring bit in his mouth. He's that relaxed, and he is a bull. You can see him going along there with Opie Bossum, who was aboard at that time, having a feel. A great opportunity for Opie Bossum in the Melbourne Cup. Look, in a nutshell, Bruce Wallace said he's 110% the horse. He'll look the winner somewhere in the running.
What do you think of his Caulfield Cup run, boys?
Really good run. He was deep and he kept going.
Couldn't sprint off the bend, and he got home well. And he's very similar to Faithful Son. He couldn't sprint off the home corner, so the big straight's going to suit him.
The thing about him is he's got the right barrier. He's drawn barrier 6 tomorrow. He's going to get a lovely run.
He's very honest and he's done nothing wrong.
Interestingly enough, too, I've noticed over the years, sometimes you have to go right back to the race like the Craigley Stakes. I know it's only over 1,600 metres, but you go back through the history of the Melbourne Cup, a lot of the horses that win it have run very, very well in the Craigley, which this horse did at his first start.
And they show that turn of foot that we're all talking about you've now got to have to win the Melbourne Cup, and I think he's a great chance.
He's got a chance. Yeah.
OK, we all agree that his Caulfield Cup run wasn't too bad. Simon Marshall caught up with Bruce Wallace and asked him what he thought about his Caulfield Cup run.
How'd you sum up his Caulfield Cup run?
I thought his Caulfield Cup run was a good run because I always doubted Caulfield. I said to the connections before the race, if they ran the Caulfield Cup at Flemington, I thought we were a leg in the air, but Caulfield was a problem to him in the Underwood. It was a problem to him again in the Caulfield Cup. So I think he's got beaten a length and 3/4. Stumbled at the start, pulled a plate, wide barrier. I think it's a great run.
You've trained him for this race, Bruce. You couldn't be happier going into it Tuesday?
No, I said to Peter Valla, the owner, the other day, the principal owner, if we had another 2 weeks to give him another run, I don't think we'd have him any better. He's bright mentally, physically fit.
Well, he sounds very confident, doesn't he? Right, Arrowsmith is a New Zealander who has already won the Wellington Cup over 3,200 metres and finished second in the Auckland Cup over 3,200 metres. He's to be ridden by the ex-Kiwi, or I suppose I shouldn't say that, the former Kiwi jockey now riding in Melbourne, Greg Childs, and Darren Beedman spoke to Greg yesterday.
What sort of run and what sort of field did he give you in the McKinnon Stakes today?
We bowled out along. We had to bring up the field in the weight for age race because we were sort of running second behind the leader, and the leader was out by some 10 lengths. My horse did a bit of work. It got to and still got to the line for third. It was a terrific Cup trial, and he'll be at peak fitness.
You'll be happy to know I've had a look at the sectionals, and he ran the fastest last 200 metres of that field. So if that's any encouragement to you, well, it brings a smile to your face anyway, mate.
Well, it's all right doing it on Saturday. I just hope he can back up and do it on Tuesday. But all indications are that he's right on track.
Can he do it on Tuesday, boys?
I don't like him from the barrier. I think if he had drawn a barrier, yes, he would be one of my main tips.